be coding. Anybody that's on is welcome to chat. This probably won't be a stream of consciousness like the last one. Anybody that's on. This starting stuff's fine. Just leave it there for announcing things. I can fancy up announcements some other time. Generally, I should put all this into just an announce function, and then I just pass it the words and the color instead of doing this every single time I want to do an announcement. But I'm not going to worry about that right now. Does Beyond have a between function? My language is mixed up nowadays. Doesn't look like it. Okay. I pretty much just grab what's already there. As far as the if statement, I just want to change the logic inside, right? Just a tiny change. So if you do an just do a for loop inside of here. The thing I've always hated about C and for loops in general is if you're not iterating over something, you have to do this. So if it did happen to get into here on wave 1, we're going to spawn 5 creatures, and then we're going to wait. Let's have it wait like 2 seconds instead of 50 seconds or 5 seconds or 6 seconds, right? It's supposed to be a horde, not a gentle breeze. So this whole idea of this mechanic should just be overwhelming numbers. I think that's fun. Plus it gives those with AoE, which most classes have some way to do it, whether that's traps, magic, or melee. Two seconds. I mean, you could do rands like they were doing before, and have it be between 2 and 3 seconds, just to make it not feel like every 2 seconds it's getting slammed, right? Just give it a little bit of variability. So we could do 20, and let's just do. It could be as long as 3.5 seconds. I want to try this before I code anymore. I want to go ahead and try this, and then I want to do a spawn -1. Which should be imitating this goal up here. Meaning all this is complete, right? We sleep for 2 seconds, then we try it again. Let's try it. Oops. That's annoying. So these, in theory, this horde should just overwhelm me instantly. So the first thing I'm going to do is just set my HP to something ridiculous. Just so I can have a chance to kind of test and see if it works. You have to create a party. Then you can enter via a pass or ticket. You go here, click there, they start spawning. Now they should spawn, in theory, forever until I actually kill more than. Or until I die. Alright. Oh, that's a bug. Why the screen turned black right there. And right there. Huh. I need to figure out. One thing I can see that you may not is that they are spawning underneath each other. So if you look right here, there's more than one being spawned right there in that exact spot. I'm not sure why the floors are turning black still. That I'll need to look into. The other thing I wanted to check was the CPU, right? this gets anywhere over 20 from this, I'd prefer to have some other way to do it. Now, the issue is like if I'm trying to exploit this, right? I know these are worth half a token. So I'll just let them spawn forever. Meanwhile, the server's, slowly creeping up. Whoop. So you have to move at least. What actually happened is I'm not actually connected to the game anymore. It logged me out because I was sitting there not moving during combat, which it doesn't like. But you could still exploit it by just going back and forth fighting two of them forever without killing them. Hmm. Hmm. Think about that for a second. I could just, every time I spawn one, up a variable, keep track of how many have been spawned. 30 spawn, it's the next wave, no matter what. Because it kills them all off anyways. That's the thing, is once you've killed 30, it kills them all off. So maybe I should just stop the spawn at 30, right? Or just go to the next wave. So what I'm saying is I could do it two ways. I could keep it the way it is now, where it just kills off everything once you kill 30 enemies, but it will spawn 100 enemies in there, 1,000 enemies in there. I could limit it at a hard 30, and you still have to kill off 30. Or I could just say once 30 monsters get spawned, we go to the next wave. I would need to put a longer delay here though, because it would go, 2 seconds, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Next wave, which would be pretty intense. I think the thing to do is just stop spawning at like 50. Or even at 30, right? Stop spawning at the next wave amount. That way they can't abuse it, and it'll be overwhelming if they don't kill them fast enough because they'll get 30 of them in there. But yeah, I think that's the way to do it. So we're gonna add another variable up here. Call these spawns. I call it spawns. That's what the word we always use. It's probably not the best word. Instances, creations. Whatever you want to. I'm just gonna keep it that because that's what I think of when I think of the word. So, and Collie spawns is less than, say 45. That way they can spawn up to 45. Right? And then every time we call this, we also just need to, I did not mean to move that around that way. We also just need to do Collie spawns plus equals 1. Now it should stop around 45, right? Let's try it. Save myself right outside of the Coliseum next time so I don't have to rework there every single time. Alright. Go in. Let's figure it out. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Need 5 times 6, right? So there's 8 across. Meaning I only need 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's my 35. Not bad. And then it'll stop spawning. There's no reason to spawn more, right? Like, they kill more, it's over. So why spawn more? Because it's just going to go to the next wave as soon as they kill more. And none of these are doing range. There are some monsters later that do range that could have, could give a big advantage to the monsters, but there's just no point otherwise. I'm not sure why this is blanking out to black. That's just weird. Question is it, if I delete this? Would like to change that. I don't know why it's doing that. Unless when it spawns, it moves the area to the top of a list. There's one I didn't delete. There's any more of those I'm not seeing. No, because I would have saw it when I was using my commands in there. Maybe. I have to figure that out. I'm not exactly sure what's happening with the turf just straight disappearing. But so far it looks like the logic is working, right? So now you just add a new one of these for each wave you want to spawn. Up in the number each time. The real work's going to come in the death check and in the prize shop. Well, and in priming the Coliseum with items. But we'll worry about that when we get there. So what I'm actually going to do, instead of rerunning all this, I'm just going to turn it into a procedure, a sub-procedure. You'll see what I'm talking about. This may be getting a little too modular. I like to make things into functions or procedures whenever possible. What we're going to do is wave spawn. We're going to give it a monster to spawn. give it a min. We're going to give it a max. So there's a, the way I'm doing var slash annoys some people. You don't have to do that in Beyond. When you're declaring a function, you can just give it names and it'll figure it out. But and let's do min kills just to be clear. Max kills, and then max total. Bang. 0, 30, 45, and oops. Yeah, that's it, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Min kills. Max kills. Max total. Oh, and then 5 at a time. So in theory now, I just have to do that 5 times. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Instead of wave 1, you can just do wave 2, right? And then I could potentially go even deeper, and instead of making a different monster for each one, I just literally dynamically generate a monster with another function call. But I said it last night when I was planning. I'm probably just going to use the templated ones. It reduces dev time, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's just not my preferred way. 5, 6, 7. Oh, they use numbers. See what I mean about variable names? I hate it. Use a not number and then numbers. I'm gonna fix that. I don't like it. I am just gonna use the numbers. I'm just not gonna switch back and forth is what it's gonna be. Because I don't want to spell really big numbers if I ever decide to go that way, right? So now I should be able to go to monsters. I got this nice little wave 1. Place this with 1. Make sure they got all the way to a wave 10. Don't believe they do. Oh, they do. Nice. Oh yeah, it's a bunch of big boys. Yeah, okay, we'll leave it. Alright. Now I just need to update these. I can use the old numbers, right? 30 is pretty small if you have a party of 5. So I think I'm actually going to up it to 120. Keep spawning 5 at a time. Do 45 on this. No, 150 is fine. I'm confusing myself, guys. This is the danger of these types of argumental things. Dynamic function. Alright. So, say we have 30 monsters killed. We can go up to 150. The max we can spawn is 120 of them. I'm going to leave that at 120 of them. The issue is this is not spawns for... This is so silly. Really shouldn't have cared about collie kills at all. I should only cared about collie spawns. But again, we want them to kill it in order to go to the next stage, so I'll leave it. I'll leave it the way it is and just not beat my brain about it, right? This number pretty much always has to be equal to this number unless I want there to be more in, like significantly more in the arena than in here. I got it. I just wish Collie spawns was easier to read, if that makes sense. Meaning I would need to zero it out every time we switch stage. Which means I would have to make the function knowledgeable of what kind of monster is being passed in. I could store that in the monster template and just ask the monster template, how many are you allowed to spawn, and have you spawn that many. Or I can just hard code it here, which is yucky, but it's the way we're going to do it. Max total. There, I put it in comments. Good luck to the poor soul that has to edit this again. It's little things like that, like if I wanted to design it better, I could take time, I could design it better. It'd probably be like 5 lines of code, but I really don't want to use the brain power to actually figure out how to do it elegantly right now. I just want to move forward and get the spawning finished because it's a very small piece of everything that's going to be coded, and I've already at already at near 2.5 hours for this entire project, so I want to get it under 10 hours if possible. So the next one's going to start at 150, meaning we need to take 150 as our base total max, and then if we want 120 on there, it would be 270 total monsters, right? For this wave, saying I'm just doing 120 instead of 100 even because I'm wild like that. Meaning that this one needs to also be 270. We're going to spawn them 5 at a time, or should we move it up to 6 at a time? Or should we move it down because it's getting harder? I'm going to leave it just 5 for now. See how it feels. If it feels bad, we can adjust it later. When you do the same thing, right? 270 at 120 would be 390. 390. Move on with our lives. 390, starting minimum, right? And then at 120, it takes you up to 510. 510. Now we can get crazy from here. We can start it out at 510, but let's say we want to do 150 monsters in wave 6. Okay. So instead of 120, we're going up 30 more monsters. I'll add 150, gets you 660. 660. This won't mean 660 monsters in the arena, right? What it actually means is 660 minus 510 are possible, which means you got 150 monsters that will be spawned during this wave possible. It's just more yucky than I wish it would be, right? So total monsters per wave is max total minus max kills, e.g. e.g. equals 150. Why did I put that there? Because someday if I don't want to have to figure out this whole code, I can read this and be like, ah, I know what's going on. Or maybe the next guy can. Usually you are the next guy, or the person coding it is the next guy. I will be the next guy, usually how it works. So I'm going at 150 now, so that would take me, what, 7, 8, 10? 8, 10. going to keep it at 150. I'm going to go 200 for wave. Actually, I'm going to go 200 here. So we'll just take it up to 110. And to get into deeper waves, you have to kill more. The design strategy behind that is if they barely made it to that wave, you don't want them to barely make it to the next wave unless they actually deserve it, right? 10, 10 goes to 10 to 10, 10 to 10. Oop. That would have been a little bit of spawning there. Finally, this is supposed to be like the big uber boss. There's only supposed to be one of them. I'm done with that. We're going to make this wave. We're going to make this wave. We're going to give it 500. Let's just, this thing will spawn up to 500 monsters. Wham bam. Thank you, sir. What I could do, I just crossed my mind, is I could have the collie spawns subtract collie kills, like, 'cause that's effectively what's happening anyway. Like you're having to do it here as the user. I could have the computer do that, and then I wouldn't have to. So what I'm saying is, when the death proc happens, when a kill goes up, we subtract 1 from collie spawns. So every time this number goes up, this number goes down, effectively making the computer do this logic for us. And if that's the case, then instead of putting these ridiculously large numbers here, I just put how many I want to be allowed in the room at one given time, which might be the way to do it. So remember that. Consider moving this logic to happen in death check. There, I've told myself to consider it. Doesn't mean I will. For now, we'll make up to 1,700 of these bad boys. Or sorry, 500 of these bad boys spawn. Let's make them spawn 10 at a time. Just to really test what's happening. Boom. That is the entire waves function now. All of this. So 115 all the way down to here. 368. So, do calculator. 115 minus, or 368 minus 115. 253 lines of code. Bam. Actually, let me double check. I am not clearing out old waves in there. And that's fine because I'm now spawning a max, so the max they can possibly get can be calculated. That makes the functions predictable, at least the max of them. I like having predictable functions. It allows me to balance the game easier rather than having random things to deal with. Like, a lot of stuff is the illusion of random. In reality, you can mathematically predict with pseudo random, right? But I like to get pseudo out and just make it as hard possible. So I can mathematically predict max right now. The max amount of tokens. Say I give half a token per monsters, right? 1,700 total monsters. That means you can get what? 850-ish tokens per run. If you do a full run. Meaning if I wanted that to be translate to the 1 in 5 it used to be for winning, I would need to make it, 8 times 5 is what? 35? Sorry, my basic multiplication's failing right now. 40. I need to make it be 4,000 tokens I didn't calculate the 50s in there. 1,000 or 10,000 tokens for some big chunk of experience or per level up, but I don't want to reduce grind in the game to now you have to do the Coliseum or there's nothing else to do. You know, technically that was the way to do it before, so I'm not actually reducing it. I'm just making it more visible. I'm not hiding it behind abstraction, right? There's no security, but in this case, it's not security. There's no uh, so there's a term called security through obscurity, right? So this would be game game design through obscurity, and I don't necessarily want to hide it behind that, but I know at this point that roughly 10,000 tokens would be equivalent to the old uh, number of Coliseums you'd have to do to get one level. However, I have reduced the time this would take significantly because instead of waiting 10, 15 minutes, this could happen very, very, very rapidly. Well, could it? I mean, we're making it wait up to, I guess it can't necessarily happen very, very rapidly. And I didn't put my sleeps in, which could have been bad. Right now, it could happen instantly if you were able to kill everything instantly. And all these things are going to spawn very rapidly because I forgot sleep. So this isn't exactly done. Anyways, I was talking about reducing 200 lines down to, 20 lines. Close. It's going to be closer to 30 lines, but I need to add the sleep in here. Otherwise, I'm going to have a really bad day. So that rand, you know, 20 to 30. We actually only want, we actually only want that sleep to happen if we actually spawn something. And we only spawn something if we get inside of here. Otherwise, it doesn't spawn anything. So we just wanted to go to the next one. So now there's a minimum of 2 seconds between every wave, meaning you take 1710 divided by 5 because it spawns 5 every wave, 342, multiply that times 3.5 seconds, so 3.5 means you have 1,197 seconds. Divide that by 60, meaning each Coliseum will take 20 minutes or 19.95 minutes to run a full Coliseum, spawning 2 seconds per wave or per 5 monsters. So if you're killing everything super efficiently, the Coliseum will take 20 minutes. And if I drop that down, right? So if I drop that down to 2 seconds, right? 342 times 2 seconds instead of 3.5. So 342 times 2 seconds gives me 684. Divide that by 60. That'll be 11 minutes. It's literally half the time. Coliseum is not locked at 20 minutes. It could take up to 20 minutes if you're killing everything perfectly. On average, it would take between 11 and 20 minutes, so 14, 15 minutes if you're killing everything as fast as you possibly can. This means a Coliseum will take about 30 minutes. Is 30 minutes for a Coliseum reasonable? Let's ask. So I just typed into the Discord since nobody's watching live right now. This was a weird time to stream. I just jumped on because my family was all out playing in the yard and I wanted a break. But is this reasonable? 30 minutes per Coliseum run. Unbuffed, by the way. When you buff them, I mean, we could reduce the timer with a item input. So it's just dropping them out, right? That'd be an interesting mechanic to add. We'll try it. I'll leave it there. That's good for now. Let's see if it works. I'm gonna play test this, and then if what we've done so far is working, we will. Oh, well, we won't know if it's working. Yeah, I was afraid of that. Do, 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 do. We will know if it's working past wave 1 because I haven't defined the death check yet. So what I'm going to do now is find all of the wave 1s, replace with wave actual 1. You guys probably can't see that, right? Nah, because let me do it this way. Now can you see it? Yeah. Find 1, find all. There's 3 of them. Replace with wave 1. That should have fixed that problem. Alright, let's try another compile, see if this guy will run. Main has it too, which I knew. I mapped all this out, right? It's just you get going and you don't want to have to stop and fix all these right when you do it because it can take a while. You can lose your train of thought. Apparently I didn't save. It's because my files are locked, I think. So that I will always get this particular setup because this is the setup I wanted for a different thing I was testing. So I actually need to change my setup for testing purposes. Alright, let's see if this works. Wave 1 starting. There they are. Yep, they should be coming every 2 seconds, so it should be pretty rapid. Now again, I'm not actually keeping track. Something weird is going on with that death check. Has to be related to the death check. Or maybe with them spawning. With the tiles disappearing. I'm not sure exactly what's happening with that, but we'll figure it out. There it goes again, and I haven't killed anything, so it's something with the spawning. Interesting. That one just happened. I don't know exactly what's happening there. But yeah, we're not increasing kills, Coliseum kills on kill. So you know, I didn't put it in the project. It'd probably take me another hour to add. I should probably add a Coliseum kill counter instead of just your kills counter, right? Because this isn't going up because these are Coliseum monsters, so they're not supposed to do your total kills counter. But I could do this. I could do a Coliseum kills like right here, or anywhere on this screen, or you know, I could just make it a stat that pops up here. But you know, you guys tell me, should I put it on the screen? It'd take me at least another hour to put it on the screen. Or it'd probably take me like 10 minutes to put it here, or 5. All right. Looks like it's working thus far, though. We'll work on the rest a little later. Thanks for tuning in.